I have Mayra Luna here with me today, and I could not be more excited to chat with her. And we are going to be talking about executive assistants, virtual executive assistants for her as an agency owner. I wish we had recorded one of our first phone calls that we got on, Mayra, a couple months ago, because you hit on so many key points. You talked about how many hats you were wearing, how busy you were, and you just seemed like the perfect candidate for having an executive assistant. So I would love to take a minute and just kind of go through, some of the tasks. For example, what are some of the tasks that you were trying to do before all by yourself that now you have an executive assistant from Lead Heroes helping you with?
Well, I was doing a lot of things on my own. For whatever reason, I knew I needed assistance. I had tried for so long to hire a personal assistant in-house. But every time I, would find someone, they would, say, oh, I'm busy, or they would come for like a day. And then for whatever reason, they were busy with their other part-time job, because it was usually a part-timer trying to find a way for them to come on full-time, because I didn't know if I wanted a full-time person without feeling them out first, right? And I didn't want to pull someone away from their part-time job thinking, oh, what if she doesn't work out? And then 2 weeks later, I'm like, no, I'm sorry, this isn't working out. I'm going to have to go a different way. So it was very difficult for me to find a good person in-house. But then I was wearing so many hats. And this year, I really wanted to make sure that the agency had the proper tools and resources for our agents, for ACA, for Medicare and everything else. And I was like doing contracting. I was doing reporting. I was doing commission statements for some of our agents that we pay in-house. I was, making sure that we had our training events going on, scheduling those out, sending those emails, constant reminders of just what's going on in the industry, because we get so many emails from all of these insurance companies with all of these webinars and things that you have to do. And that's on top of my regular workload of regular emails just coming in from agents requesting, a contract or requesting that they needed help with something. So my inbox was overwhelmed. My text messaging was overwhelmed. And on top of that, I am a mom. I have 3 wonderful, beautiful babies. I call them babies, but they're 11, 6, and 4. But, they're still my babies. And if you count the husband as a child, then I have 4, right? But no. He's a good, obviously we do the agency together, but he's more of the front end sales guy. I'm the operations business, although I write business myself, but, operations, everything else. It was so overwhelming. I was like, what am I going to do with myself? I have these projects. I have things I want to do, like the kickoff I just did yesterday, but I'm not able to pull that off on my own. There's just no way. And thankfully, you reached out, I think, to me. And I was like, okay, what's going on? And you said yes. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, it started with the Facebook post, right? I was looking for I wanted someone to try out a virtual assistant. I wanted it to be someone who really needed it. And like you just said so eloquently right there, you had so much going on. And I love that you mentioned your kids, because I was going to bring that up. I have 3 kids as well. And that it always adds a layer of complexity on day-to-day life, right? You never know when something could come up. It could be an emergency. It could be, you just got to go pick your kid up from school, right? I mean, there's so many different things. And so after talking to you that first time, I'm like, I know you'd be a great fit for this. So, you talked a lot about the things that you needed help with. So how does it compare now that you have someone who's helping you with a lot of these day-to-day tasks, the communication, you have hundreds of agents, you've got the carriers corresponding with you. I mean, how do you feel like your workload is now that you have someone helping you with those day-to-day tasks?
One of the major things that I feel not as overwhelmed is the reporting that I was doing,
Yeah.
and paying out the commissions that we pay in-house. That was just a little overwhelming because, I didn't really have time during the day to dig through a report or dig through a commission statement and pull out the different things that I needed. And I was doing it late at night. And, sometimes late at night, the kids are like, they want to spend time with mom.
Right.
And so it wasn't, really happening. And so it was getting delayed, much more than I would have liked to.
Right.
And so now, since she has taken over that for me, I am so relieved. I mean, I know exactly the report is there. I just look over it. If there's an error here and there, we'll fix it. But most of the time, it's 99% wrong. And it's usually the company that has the error that I would have never have found if I had done it on my own. Because I sometimes do things rather quickly. But now she's catching these errors, obviously from the insurance companies that, before may have not been paying attention to it. Yeah. So it's been a huge help just relieving that commission, not even commission tracking. We haven't started that yet.
Yeah, it sounds like
auditing what we're getting and making sure that we're getting a good report to send to the agents that need it. And that was just because, again, I don't have just 5 agents. It's a pretty big report that I have to dig through. And that was just a relief. That alone is worth its weight in gold, for me at least. And the fact that she is really good with Excel. I told her to pull a report one day that I needed with some Molina agents in comparison to some UHC agents, and just to run a report on that. And when she sent me the report, I was like, oh, well, this is a lot more than I was expecting, but thank you. To me, I was just like, but it was color coded, and there was little different tabs at the bottom. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, this is really good. A lot more information that I wanted, but it didn't take her much more longer than I probably would have done it anyway. Right. So that was really good. And, just keeping me on track with some of my appointments. Every so often, sometimes I don't know what's on my own calendar. Yeah. And every so often it's like, oh, you have an appointment. You have this coming up. Don't forget. And, and I see that notification coming on my computer, and it's a whole lot different feeling to get a notification from a person than the notifications that we get from, from our Google calendars or anything else. It just feels different. It just feels like, oh, this is, I need to make sure I pay attention to this.
Well, so one thing too with what you said right there, because this happens to me all the time. I'm running like 3 different calendars, so it can be crazy if one appointment's not on one calendar. But being able to tell someone too, when you get a notification from your assistant and they're saying, hey, you have a meeting right now, being able to say, oh man, I cannot make this meeting. And instead of having to take that time to try to reschedule it, being able to have your assistant, being able to move your calendar.
We've done that ourselves, Glenn, and I.
Yeah, exactly. Have your people talk to my people. Yeah.
Yes. All the time. I'm like, wait, I can't make it. I'm still, my grand run to, I know we were scheduled a couple of days ago. Yeah. It was pouring rain. And so of course that delays everything when you're out and about. Right. So I was like, I'm not going to make it. Yeah. Let's reschedule.
Yeah. So exactly. And it was, it keeps it easy. I mean, the thing that I keep coming back to is, your time is so limited with everything you have going on within your agency, with your family. There's only so much time in a day. So being able to take a task like auditing those commission statements, which again, this is something that comes up time and time again when I'm talking to agency owners, that's something that could take a significant amount of time, and to be able to offload that so you're freed up to do other things. I mean, that's really where, it starts to really make sense. and your revenue generating activities, being able to focus on those, which, we talked about before, training agents like the webinar you just did, recruiting new agents or doing contracting, right? Helping new agents come on board. I mean, that's really your big revenue generating activity. Spending 20 hours a week going through commission statements.
Yes, it's
that's not, that's painful. Like that's nails on a chalkboard, to me.
It is. It was, it was, but at the end of the day, we have to, as agents, go through those statements, right? Because otherwise, trust me, they're not 100% accurate.
Right.
And so just finding exactly where those holes are is just invaluable information. And now that she's been able to do that, and of course other tasks as well. I mean, I had my ACA kickoff yesterday, which went really well. A full day event. I'm planning a Medicare kickoff here in a couple of weeks. And I feel that I'm able to do and concentrate in creating the content for for those events, without in the back of my head being like, oh, well, I have to get contracting done, or I need commission statements done, or I need to get this report done. And, and it's hard to try to be quote unquote creative.
Yeah.
When doing a training or what you're going to say and things like that, when you have all of this busy work in the back of your head, 100%. It's really hard. It's hard. It's not easy.
I can totally empathize with that. I was just sick. I took a week off, and to be able to really, without thinking, right, just being able to tell my assistant, hey, I'm going to be unavailable for the next week. Like if it's an emergency, reach out to me, like I'll be here, but I don't want to be on the phone. I need to be with my family. I need to take care of myself, and to be able to do that without even thinking, right? I mean, it's just a huge peace of mind. Like you're saying, just being able to kind of take that down a notch. Cause it's like, there's so much going on in your head at all times, right?
There is so much going on all the time. We're getting pulled in 5 different directions. And, as a female, as a woman, doing this business, we get pulled in a lot of different directions,
right?
Not just from our own clients, but our kids, our family, and everything else. And so it's just a huge time saver to know that some of those tasks, can be delegated to somebody else, and it can be done just as well as we were doing it. Right. If not better.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and it's always good to have that other voice like around you, and, pulling you forward, and just, even just her saying good morning to me in the morning.
Yeah.
It's just really nice.
Yeah.
I don't get a text message from people that says, hey, good morning. No, I don't do that. Nobody does that.
Your husband should be texting you every morning.
Really? Well, he's, I mean, we wake up at the same time, but he's like, we're all each on our own separate paths, and so nobody says good morning.
Yeah, no, I think that's simple. And it's funny because I feel like over the years, a lot of people have approached me and talked about, automation and, virtual assistants could potentially become something that's no longer needed. And I'm just like, I really feel like that human touch, like you just talked about, I don't see that going away anytime soon. Like that need of another human, like he's bouncing ideas off someone. You can't really do that with a computer program, not to my knowledge anyways, not yet where there's that conversation you can have.
Yes,
I really appreciate you taking a minute, coming on, talking to me about, your experience, how it's been beneficial to have this executive assistant kind of step in and handle some of these tasks that have been bogging down, your workload and helping you focus on some of these more important tasks. So I think that's fantastic. And I'm looking forward to see, what else we can hopefully help you with and take off your plate as an agency owner and see where this can really go. Maybe this turns into multiple assistants, right? We'll have to see.
You never know. We'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see on that. I know they're very talented. I know she's very talented, and she's like, well, I can do this. And she's like, I did this Canva graphic the other day. And I'm like, what? You did what now? And she's like, yeah, well, on Canva. I'm like, you know how to use Canva? She's like, yes. I'm like, wait, where are you? Okay, my bad for not asking some of these things sometimes, but she can do basic Canva work. And I'm like, well, that's perfect, because not everybody uses Canva, but it's definitely a very useful tool.
Yeah.
To use Canva on certain things where you don't need to take it to a graphic designer, but you just need something quick, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know that. So I know she's very talented, and I'm just, looking to see what else am I finding. Just like a regular person, if she were in-house, sometimes you don't know exactly the talent that's in that person until you give them the workload, until you start working with them. And I felt very confident in working with her because obviously from your recommendation, that, they would be able to, handle the work. So I was like, great. Yes. I didn't have to overthink that, because I think that's a lot of sometimes the pressure. We're like, well, are they going to be good or not good?
Right. Well, and it was something that came up. There was a Facebook thread I was looking at just this week, and they're talking about kind of the screening process. And I think that's something, again, where, at Lead Heroes, I think we can really help take off your plate, because, you kind of talked about this earlier, that intimidation of going through and interviewing people who might, whether it's in person or virtual, right? You're going through and you're having to interview multiple candidates. You're trying to figure out, is this someone that's really going to be effective if I hire them? Can I trust them, right?
Yeah.
Are they going to show up every day? So, we have such a large pool of employees, people that we know are effective, and just being able to really transplant them, right? I mean, that's really kind of how I viewed it, as, the same way you would transplant a tree. I know this is someone that's very effective that we've been able to work with for quite some time. And to, again, offload that task of trying to find the right person. I think that's huge, because I know how time consuming that is. I mean, we've hired thousands of people over the years now, and going through that interview process, and then training them, and then onboarding them, and then giving them work for a certain amount of time and evaluating that work. Is this working? It can really slow you down as an entrepreneur.
Yes, I think that alone really helped, with knowing that I didn't have to go through, dozens of interviews, and figuring out who was the right fit. Because I had done several interviews, within this past year, and I was just like, I'm not finding that fit. And like, do I just, because I need someone so desperately, do I just take the plunge? With, a person here that interviewed here in my office, in person, but knowing that you had screened them, and that knowing that they were able to handle the work, was definitely a very, very, very good thing. It was a pro.
Well, here's the $1 million question, Mayra. Would you recommend someone getting an executive assistant from Lead Heroes? Do you feel like it's been beneficial to you?
It is so beneficial. Yes, everyone needs an executive assistant from Lead Heroes, because they're going to make your life so much easier and so much better. In the tasks that you think that you needed to do, they can handle.
Awesome. Again, I appreciate your time, Mayra. Thank you for chatting with me today. And again, I'm excited to see where this goes, and see how much we can help you with.
Awesome. I look forward to it.
We are heroes tonight.